Hello, everybody. Welcome back to season 4 of How Come. How fun. Oh my God. I don't know if this branding is going to stick, but go with me for a second. This season, like I said last season, is going to be definitely sex sometimes, but then some episodes might be like, how cook, or like how fit, or like how finance. You know what I mean? Like stuff that I've always been just curious about and needed to know about in life, or bad at, or just inexperienced at, and things that we also require to live. This episode is going to be quite sexy though. It is called How Curious, because we're talking about the importance of being sexually curious always, exploring new facets of sexuality throughout your life, and figuring out our bodies even more whenever we think that we have them figured out. I am guilty of plateauing. I am also currently in the midst of an orgasm dry spell. My first one since cracking myself open way back in season 1. Also, if you are a new listener, welcome, newcomer. But I would restart the journey, season 1, episode 1, because those are the assignments that I had to do that led up to my first orgasm. Okay. But yeah, so now I'm having some trouble coming. And even though I want to talk about less sexy topics too, I want to talk about sex pretty consistently as well, and with people who have done it differently than I have. Also in season 4. Okay. So since last congratulations finale, we didn't get to talk to any companions about their success stories. We decided that every episode this season is going to start with an interview with a companion who has a congratulations success story, whether it's a first orgasm or first orgasm with a partner, or an orgasm in a new way. And then we'll have our main guest. So today's companion is Hazel from Australia, and our main guest is comedian, actor, musician, advocate, entrepreneur, artist, someone who's always been here lighting the pathway for other women, other members of underrepresented groups, other performers to follow, Margaret Cho. Thanks to Dipsea for supporting How Come. Dipsea is an audio app full of short, sexy stories and guided sessions designed to turn you on and help you get in touch with yourself. Get a 30-day free trial when you go to dipseastories.com/howcome. Also, if you need more How Come stuff, maybe you are finished with everything, you've listened to everything, come over to patreon.com/howcome. We have so many good extras, unedited episodes. Every week we do a post-coitus, me and Robin Kennedy in New Zealand, my companion turned right-hand man. She and I talk about the episodes every week and whatever else we feel like talking about. Also, you'll be able to see the congratulations conversations with other companions before they go live. Everything with video. Also, we have a new thing called Jessica's Journey, where we're talking to a companion, Jessica, who's 34, has yet to have her first orgasm, and I am leading her through different assignments to hopefully get there. So check that out, patreon.com/howcome. For our companion today and her congratulations, we are talking to Hazel in Australia. She was 26 when we recorded this. It was her birthday. I chose her because she is the companion of our dreams. She listened to this podcast because she had a problem, fixed the problem, and then decided to tell a bunch of other people on her Instagram story in these front-facing videos that she tagged us in, and we were like, oh my God, this story is incredible. And I think it's just brave as fuck to be able to do that, because so many times people, they're just scared to even share the fact that they listen to the podcast. And now her work involves helping other women learn about their bodies. So really proud of her. And here is our talk with Hazel.
Hello. I'm going to try not to imitate your accent this whole time.
Don't, you almost did. I heard that coming. Hello.
Hello. Hi, Hazel. How are you?
Hello. How are you?
It's so good to see you.
Oh, you too.
I feel like I already know you because of your very courageous front-facing series on Instagram.
Thanks, girl.
No, thank you. That was the first one we've ever had. I feel like most of this show is us being like, hey, like tell your friends. And like you went so far as to like document your journey. And it was just so, so awesome. I was like,
Yeah, I just love what you guys do. I feel like you're really empowering women to love themselves and realize that they're not alone in the things that we're experiencing, but often too afraid to talk about, which we shouldn't be.
And you're not. And I'm like so proud of you. I can't believe you're ours.
Thanks, Gil.
Of course. So I obviously want to say congratulations to your face. Congratulations to you.
Thanks, Gil.
Can you tell everybody about your story?
Yeah, so for me, I feel I hadn't really had a proper like orgasm with a partner before. I'd had little ones on my own, or like I'd had little ones, but nothing big.
Mm-hmm.
I'd been in relationships for 5 years, pretty much, 2 long relationships since I left high school.
Mm-hmm.
And while in those relationships, I feel like I wasn't with people who really cared about my own pleasure.
Yeah.
But I also sort of had this weird feeling that when I had a partner, my pleasure should come from them. I shouldn't be self-pleasuring because it should all come from the partner.
That weird misconception that we all have for some reason. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, I just felt like I shouldn't be self-pleasuring because I should be able to get it from my partner, and my partners weren't giving me that. I wasn't having a good time sexually, and then got out of that relationship, the last one, and it had been so long of very little sex and me just feeling so unworthy and unloved. And in the end, I found that internally I'd lost a lot of sensation. So even the rare occasion when we did have sex, I couldn't really feel anything going on, which sucked. And I thought I was broken. I was like, that's it. Bye-bye pleasure. Like, thank God for the clit.
Yeah.
And and in the end, got out of that relationship, and I realized that I wasn't broken. So things ended, and finally it was the first time me being single as a young adult. And it was scary, but also so exciting because I could finally start exploring and dating and have a bit of fun and get my feeling back. Yeah. So that relationship ended, and I was like, shit has to change. Like, this is not okay. And finally went on this journey. I got myself a yoni egg, and that really helped me to get the sensation back, which I was really excited about.
What inspired that?
I was following Rosie Reese from Yoni Pleasure Palace for so long, and she was always really inspiring for me. And I don't know, I'd just been looking for some way to fix what was going on. Yeah. And I knew that a lot of it would have also been from mentally as well, what was happening with my feelings of unworthiness and everything that was going on there. That would have also affected what I was feeling. So once I sort of healed that and got the yoni egg, it helped me to increase the sensation and lubrication and have better orgasms. I want to
try one. I'm like,
honestly, amazing.
Do we want to explain a yoni egg for people who like might have missed that, or you haven't heard of one before?
A yoni egg is like a small crystal egg. My one is rose quartz. You can get them in jade. You can get them in so many different types of crystals. And obviously they have different benefits. If you're someone that's into crystals, the different ones have different benefits.
I am now.
So the rose quartz is really good for the heart and love, which is why I got that post breakup. And they're really good. So basically it's like a weight internally for your whole pelvic floor. And they're so important, and it's really important to have a strong pelvic floor. And sort of, we talk about doing Kegels and how important it is to strengthen your pelvic floor, but doing Kegels without a weight is like doing bicep curls without weights. Like it doesn't do as much. So having the yoni egg in really helps you to actually strengthen up that pelvic floor, and helps with if you have a little bit of like incontinence and you wee when you sneeze, which so many people do. But then also it helps to increase lubrication and sensation and so much more. So for me, it's been such a game changer, and I just love Yoni Pleasure Palace and everything they stand for so much that
unreal.
Yeah, I'll Oh, love them.
Oh my God. Maybe we should try and get them on, Rob.
100%. Please do.
I'm like, just FYI for everyone, I'm having like a weird 2 week. I have not been able to come in like 2 weeks. So maybe a yoni egg is for me. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like stressed or something. Like something's up.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot going on in the world. So
yeah. But it's also that, thank you for sharing something with me that like, I'm like, oh, okay. Stella can get her groove back.
Yeah. Honestly,
that might be too American a reference. I'm so sorry. I know your name is not Stella. Your name is Hazel.
My sister's name is Stella. And for a second there, I was like,
and you were like, what is she talking about?
How does she know that?
I stalk you, Hazel. But yeah, so you used the yoni egg, and then when did the orgasm with a partner happen?
I started seeing a guy when I was living in Canada. So post breakup, a month and a half later, I went to Canada on my own. I went to go with the partner. So I went solo and then started casually seeing this guy I was working with, and having someone. He asked me like, what do you like in bed? And I was taken aback and got a little bit teary because I was like, no one has ever asked me that. Like, I don't even know what I like.
Oh my God, thank you for asking me that question.
I have no idea, but thank you.
Yeah, but like, you did a little bit, right? Because you could alone.
Yeah. I had an idea on my own,
like
but I didn't know like what I wanted from a partner. Like, I just didn't know.
What do the mechanics look like with that?
Yeah,
when you
like I'd have like
another
the same
person?
5 moves in sex for 5 years. So I was like, this is so much fun.
Yeah, it's time to ask for stuff that we didn't know we could ask for.
Yeah, exactly. So I got with him, and he was like, all right, well, let's find out what you like. And oh my God, like that was. Oh my
God, I love him.
Yeah, so it was a really good first sort of experience post long relationships.
Wait, how did you guys like? What was it a day of experimentation? Like, I'm just picturing you guys in like all different types of themes. Like, let's see if you like BDSM. Let's see if you like toys. Let's see if you like tickle play, or like, you know.
I kind of wish it was like that. No, it's more just like over time, because we were both kayak guides, so we'd be out kayaking for 5 days at a time. So we'd sort of come back and have a quick little bit of fun before we went back out into the wilderness.
As kayak guides too.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know, we'd just be out there kayaking, pull over to like a little island, try some stuff, kayak back.
You're actually like really accurate right now.
Really?
I mean, we'd have like guests with us as well, but like nighttime.
But you'd be like, yeah, like enjoy, go explore, and we'll be down here. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was so good for me, and first time really experiencing like proper orgasms with a partner. And oh my goodness, I was so grateful for that experience. And then eventually I was like, all right, time for me to go on and keep traveling. So I went off on my own and kept traveling and
banging more people.
Yep. Yeah.
Amazing.
Having fun.
And so
being single.
Now you've cracked it open and you can come with other people like regularly?
Yeah, so I've got a boyfriend now. So I still struggle in terms of like during like intercourse. Yeah, but like
intercourse.
Exactly. Like it's so common.
Everyone does.
Yeah,
like that's so stupid. Yeah. It's just such a stupid thing. Like
exactly.
Some people's bodies are not going to do that. Like stop trying.
I know.
Most
and I hate
aren't
that it's
designed
this, like,
that way.
Goal of if you don't come during intercourse, then it's not a successful. Like no.
Like it doesn't count. Yeah. And also that it only counts if it's at this, like you want to be doing it at the same time.
No.
And it has to be face to face. And it's like, no, like you could be back to back and both masturbating and then coming at the same time. Like that still counts.
Exactly. So it's really nice with my current partner he's so open and like we can talk about so many things and explore, and I've never explored with someone as much as I can with him, and we just instantly felt so comfortable together, which is really nice.
So cute.
And yeah, it's really nice how quickly he can make me come now, because it was something that I used to struggle with so much. But he just knows the way.
That's unreal. Can we talk about technique? Because if you were able to do it solo, like how would you usually go about that?
For me, I just love using the odd fingers, but I also got a We Vibe melt.
Cool.
After hearing you talk about
suck
your
toys
experiences, suck toys. So I got myself one of those, and that's like a real good if I just want a quickie. But for me, I'm a real clit girl, which is something that I kind of want to get more into internally. But I kind of want to build that up some more, because I know that if you are just using the same way every time, then the rest sort of desensitizes in a way.
I don't know if that's true.
Not really desensitizes, but I don't know. I've noticed like the more times that I am like fingering, it's better over time, and I like feel it more. Whereas I feel like after so long of like years in those relationships of not really like doing that, I just hadn't. So I don't know what the women's anatomy, who knows?
His technique, do you know if there's any specific move that you've been like, that's the thing that like?
I think like quick circling is just, that does it for me.
With a tongue?
Either.
Or a finger, okay.
Tongue or finger, both will work.
Okay.
Quick circling for me, every time.
Unreal. I've never heard of quick circling. I will share something that Ben has been doing lately, which I am obsessed with. It is called Tiny Tongue, and he makes it like as tiny as possible and just like licks like up, like if it was like a little bunny rabbit sized tongue or whatever. And it is so wonderful. So you guys, if you have not tried quick circles or tiny tongue, we have added 2 new techniques to the repertoire.
Techniques.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yay. Fun.
Perfect.
And wait, is your birthday today?
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay, so congratulations and happy birthday.
Thanks.
You are 26 today. So you were 25 at the time of the first O with a partner.
24.
24. Okay. So we've been doing it for a while now.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. It's so cool. And it's like, it's so like, I don't know. We all have very similar feelings of being like, oh, I must be broken or whatever. And it's like, no, you just didn't try enough stuff yet, or you weren't having open enough conversation. And like you're saying that like with your current boyfriend that like it's so open and it's never been able to be like this. And it's like, but yeah, because you weren't like this before. Like you created the space for the openness and the communication.
Yeah.
You know, like
totally.
If you're going in with the mindset that both of us did, where it's like, okay, guys are going to do stuff to me, and then maybe it's different.
Maybe.
And it's like, no. Like you were like, hi, I'm so sexual, and like, this is what works for me.
Let's have some fun.
Let's have some fun. This beat is sick.
Yeah.
I want to take a ride on your disco stick. I love how also you sound like a scientist now. Like you're so learned in this field now. And I also know that you started running an online holistic health community. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I've been working online for 2.5 years in the holistic health world, partnered with an amazing company. But then a year ago, I realized after talking to heaps of girlfriends how many others were experiencing similar things to what I had. And after listening to your podcast and learning so much, and always watching Rosie Reese as well at Beauty Pleasure Palace, and having people like come to me talk about, like, can you wee when you have the yoni egg in, because they thought it was the same hole.
What?
Like, you have a vagina. You should know that they're different holes.
Yeah.
No. So after sort of realizing how little education we get during our like sex ed classes at school and all the things that we should have learned, it's all just they were just talking about guys ejaculating and not having babies and didn't actually express that women can have orgasms as well.
And that it's like medically pretty good for us.
Yeah, exactly.
And mentally pretty good for us.
Yeah, like really good for us. So I started running workshops online to help empower other women and teach them more about themselves and their bodies and how to love their cycle and get more in touch with their cycle. And it's been so fun. It's really empowering for me to be able to help others with this, because I know where I was at.
Fucking proud of you. It's insane. I can't. I'm just gonna keep taking credit. She's ours.
Yes. 100%.
That's so awesome. Are there any stories specifically of people that you've helped that like just make you smile so much?
I have this one friend who she's Sri Lankan, her family is. So for them, there's a lot of cultural stuff going on. It's really fun for me learning more about how different cultures even just celebrate their periods when they get it for the first time. It was really beautiful hearing her first period experience. But hearing her go from like being way too scared to use a period cup and just not really be like knowing much about her period at all, to now she's got a period cup and watching her on her Instagram stories, sharing
talking about it. That's unreal.
Talking about it and teaching others. It just, every time I see her talking about that, I'm like, I'm so proud.
Yeah, and it really is like this is how we keep the conversation moving forward and not going backwards, is like the sharing of information, the wanting to help other people. Like so many people have their first orgasm or have their first orgasm with a person or have a sexual breakthrough and they never share it with anybody. And then that knowledge stops, and it like, you were like, oh, I learned something. And instead of just like keeping it to myself, like I'm going to pay it forward. And it's just awesome because it duplicates and
Yeah, it's so nice being a part of this age where women are more comfortable sharing about what we're experiencing, what works, and pleasure. And
and just like allowed to speak. It's so nice.
I know.
And it's also nice though that like seriously we are in a time where like it's not just like cool to support each other, it's like something that we want to do. Like you realize that there shouldn't be this everybody vying for the one female spot. Like make more spots,
yeah exactly.
And then with the yoni egg, was it a slow process of gaining back sensation or was it pretty quick?
I think it took me like probably a couple months, like just slowly feeling it more and more and more. But after, a couple months of use, I feel like I wasn't as consistent with it as I should have been. So it would have been much better if I were just using it every day like I should have. But unfortunately, I didn't do that.
That's all right. You still got there.
I still got there. So, for me, it took me a couple months, but if I was more consistent, I probably could have gotten it in a month, I reckon. Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, it's like, it sounds like a long amount of time, but it also doesn't sound that long to like commit to something that's going to change your life. And it did.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't need to wear it for long either. Like you can just wear it for 20 minutes a day and that's doing plenty.
Awesome. Hazel, thank you so much for being here and for sharing your story with us and doing all the amazing work that you're doing. If you are comfortable, would you like to share your handle where people can find you?
Yes. So my handle is I am Hazel Vaughan. So that's I am HAZEL VAUGHAN is my Insta handle. That's probably the best way to find me.
I love Z and H.
Very Australian.
I have tried. I mean, I think I've done a spectacular job of not imitating this whole time. I've really restrained myself.
Proud of you.
I'm so proud of me and I'm so proud of you. And I feel so lucky that you're companion and that you shared your story with us.
I'm so grateful.
And yeah, I have to ask you this question. Did you finish, Hazel?
Oh, I definitely finished.
Amazing. I did. Thank you so much for asking me. Robin, did you finish?
Yeah.
Hazel, you're amazing. Robin, you're fine.
You just said happy birthday to me.
No, wait. Okay. And a belated happy birthday to Robin Kennedy, two Aquariuses.
Yes.
Robin, I love you. Happy birthday.
It's the morning.
Hazel, I love you. Happy birthday. And
Enjoy your
happy
birthday.
coming, everybody.
Thanks, Abby.
Thank you for coming. Keep doing it.
How come? How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help. 'Cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna jizz.
Okay, so yeah, we're going to be talking to Margaret Cho about her sexual curiosity and how she's always learning and trying new things. I learn about so many sex toys I've never heard of in this episode, so get ready for that. And yeah, she's opened my mind to a lot of new things, and I think learning and growing and discovering every facet of like what you may like is so important. And one of my favorite new things I've been trying is Dipsy. So many people get into a rut with their sex lives, right? Or they just plateau like I did, where it's like, okay, I found the thing that works and now, but sometimes the plateau drops off or it just gets boring and like you want to spice it up. And Dipsy has been a great way to explore new fantasies, ideas, and things you might be into that you didn't know about. Dipsy is an audio app full of short, sexy stories designed to turn you on. Each Dipsy story features characters that feel like real people and immersive scenarios, so you feel like you're right there, which is great when you've been inside for a while. They also release new stories every week, so no ruts. There's always more to explore, no matter who you're into, what turns you on. Like Dipsy's, they've got you. I keep saying this. I forgot for a long time how important exploring is, and yeah, I guess that's how we got to this situation where I haven't really come in 2 weeks. But I've been learning to do more and learning to just sink more into my pleasure again instead of trying to rush through stuff. And Dipsy has been really great for that. They also have like these guided meditations and tutorials, and I think you guys will really like it. I've already spoken to some companions who have been obsessed. And yeah, I think you'll really like it too. So for listeners of the show, Dipsy is offering a 30-day free trial when you go to dipsystories.com/howcome. That is a 30-day free trial when you go to Dipsy, DIPSEA, stories.com/howcome. dipsystories.com/howcome. I think you're going to really like it. And so, yeah, you are going to love Dipsy. You're going to love this episode. And if you do, would you be a dear and maybe go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, and give us a 5-star review, a 5-star rating, and say something nice, a good review. I have been obsessed with your reviews. Actually, that's what I'm going to add this season too. I'm going to read your reviews that I like because they are so great. This one came in last Wednesday. It said, so helpful. I felt heard with the episode with Kelsey. Thank you both. Highly recommend this podcast with a heart. It's from Snee, and yeah, I love that review. I also highly recommend our first episode from last season. If you're going through any mental health issues, Kelsey, Dara, and I are here for you. Also, another review that came in this week was love, one of my top 3 favorite podcasts ever. And I was like, yay. But then I was like, who are the other 2? Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for your ratings and reviews. If you haven't done it already, please go over there. And also, our Facebook group is heating up. So if you have Facebook, go search How Come Companions. We have a few questions you have to answer to get in, and we'll let you in. And yeah, you guys are the cutest little community, supporting each other, sending each other. One girl was like, hey, I accidentally received more lube than I needed to from Sweet Vibrations. Does anybody want it in Canada? Now she's sending it to somebody else in Canada who's just paying for the shipping. So cute. But yeah. So join the group. I think we're also going to be starting a Discord. And final announcements before we begin. Merch is back up. So go check out howcomepodcast.com if you have been wanting merch. All right, and I'm so sorry for the people who came here specifically for Margaret Cho, but you will not be disappointed. This episode is so fantastic. We recorded it a few weeks ago, so not all facts are completely up to date. We discuss the evidence that's come out against Armie Hammer. Trigger warning, we talk about rape and assault. And once more, newcomers, if you have never come, totally you can listen to this episode, but I highly recommend going back and starting season 1, episode 1. I accomplished my goal in 6 episodes, spoiler alert. So you just have to do those. And yeah, I don't know. Most people like listening in order because I'm a complete idiot in season 1, and now I'm a much more learned idiot. All right, here we go. Let's see how curious we can get with Margaret Cho.
Hi.
I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for doing this podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
This is Robin.
Hi.
Hello.
Robin's in New Zealand.
Oh, wow. Lucky you. That's so great.
I know.
Yeah, it's nice and safe there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really incredible how much better everybody, I mean, it's the entire,
World.
and the antipodes. It's the entire antipodal area. But yes, lucky.
Everyone who's not us seems to be doing a fantastic job.
Oh my God, yes.
Well, actually, everyone that's not us
Is doing a bad job.
job.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Very excited to talk to you. You have been at the forefront of so many movements, talking about so many different movements, uplifting marginalized groups, whether it's anti-racism, LGBTQIA, survivors of sexual assault, anti-bullying, sex work. You're at the forefront of the conversation of everything. And you have been doing stand-up since 14 years old, right?
Yes.
Have you always been talking about issues since you started?
Well, I think so, because it was not possible to escape identity.
Mm-hmm.
Like just being a queer woman of color is going to inform everything I do, because the world is not set up for women or queers or women of color or people of color. So it's a definite, especially if you're in the business of entertainment, because we're so rare. But it's like you have to always factor in identity. And because of my identity, and I started in San Francisco, and I was coming from an arena of gay people who were still mourning Harvey Milk's death. And that there's a lot of stuff happening. I started and really became a comedian in the middle of the AIDS crisis. So there was a lot to talk about and a lot of fundraising to do, a lot of activism to do. So it was just something that I was used to doing and used to talking about and being a part of.
And by nature of, you talk about your experiences.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about things that people aren't ready for, but that are real things that need to be talked about. You have started sexual conversations before, people often ask me, because this podcast started because I wanted to learn how to have an orgasm. Oh, did you have your first orgasm recorded? And I'm like, no, I didn't have it recorded. As much as I'm open about everything, I talk about everything, I've never had an orgasm recorded, and you have.
Yeah.
You participated in something called hysterical literature. The artist was Clayton Cubitt, where you got diddled under the table while reading literature.
Right, but it was hard to. It was weird. It's almost like it was like a sneeze, because it was involuntary reaction to stimulus, allergies. and so it wasn't sexual. I'm not really an exhibitionist, and I'm not exactly. I think I'm more of a voyeur, and so sometimes orgasm for me is really impersonal. It's like and most sex in general is kind of impersonal because
interesting.
I really relate to my body as an organism.
Okay.
And I think part of that is when you come from sexual abuse in your childhood, especially, like the guilt that's put on people who have experienced sexual excitement because they've been abused, and then they sort of relate that to the rest of their sexual experience. So it's to depersonalize that is actually for me really healing, because like if you sort of make it as like, if you do this, I'm going to have an orgasm. It's not personal. It's just something that happens. It's like something that times like orgasms can occur during rape because it's just a mechanical.
Yeah.
And then
and that's what confuses people.
People get really freaked out, and then it either hampers their sexual feelings later in life. And so if we can somehow depersonalize a lot of those functions, then I think we can get more out of sex in general, because then when we mean it, then we really mean it.
Yeah. During that like project, it was just kind of like anything else, just like being tickled or something like that.
Yeah, and it was fun. And it was his girlfriend who was underneath the tables, a very big wooden table.
I was wondering who was underneath the table. Okay.
And she had a Hitachi magic wand, and it wasn't the rechargeable one. It was the plug-in one. So this is like old school.
Yeah.
And there's something about the frequency of the, there's a difference, I think, with the plug-in one. And so it's stronger.
You only have so many feet to move.
You couldn't move.
Yeah.
You really couldn't move. And she would chase you because she was right under there. You couldn't even see her or feel her because she was covered with a very heavy blanket. And she was muffling the sound. So there was, and you couldn't see him because he was really kind of far away. Because he was
filming?
Yeah, he was filming, but he also didn't want to inform the situation. So his presence was actually pretty remote. So you were kind of alone. It was very weird, but it was really funny. And they live in a firehouse, which is really like so artistic and fabulous. I don't think I remember the pole. Maybe the pole.
I feel like the pole is the most essential part to a firehouse.
The pole seems like that, but it was like a brick firehouse that had been converted into a loft apartment.
That's awesome.
It was really fabulous. So I was kind
of
like,
cool.
The interiors really got me off.
Yeah, I think that project is so interesting because you're fully clothed, you know, and it really does take sexuality out of it a little bit. Like you were saying, like it really, like it didn't seem like a sexual thing, but I was wondering like before, did you guys have any conversations about like what you like? Because if somebody used a magic wand on me, I wouldn't have an orgasm. You know what I mean? Like people like different toys, different methods. Like, was there any conversation before? Or it was just kind of like,
no, I think they always use the magic wand.
They always use that.
They always use it and then let the chips fall where they may. You know, it's sort of like, you know, we don't really know what's going to happen. But usually the magic wand is the most foolproof. Usually if people have trouble having orgasms.
That's what they used to say to me. Yeah. And I would always try these. I talked about this one episode. I let my friend operate a Sibian. Like a motor bunny for me. And because it was like the most vibration. And at that time I hadn't had my orgasm yet. And I was like, I'll just do this or whatever. Like we're sitting in the middle of a sex club. Like, why not? Here, put it up to 11. And I just sat there and I had a reaction of you where I was just like laughing and like having a good time. But I don't think I came. Do you think you came during that video?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Wow.
And I have a motor bunny too. I actually don't... I don't respond to it sexually. It's almost like there's something at the gym. It's a plate that vibrates that you do push-ups on or sit-ups on, and it makes you clench your muscles in a different way. So it's too strong. I've had experiences with a lot of sex machines, and I find most of them too strong. But there's something
Right.
about the magic wand that it's contained enough, and I don't know.
Can focus in on a spot or something.
So yeah, but a lot of it's hard.
What was your first orgasm like? Do you remember that?
Oh God. I mean, I think it was probably really young. Just masturbation with hands, with fingers. So toys didn't really come into the picture until I was maybe, I think I got my first vibrator at the exotic erotic ball. It was a rabbit. It was an old school rabbit with the pearls inside.
Yes, that was my first one too.
It was very intricate.
Scary.
It made a sound when the pearls, because they would like clack.
Yeah. And like twist.
Yeah. But
under the like gelatinous veiny dick.
It was just a very, I found that vibrator really unpleasant. So I didn't go back to them until later. But then when I discovered the magic wand, which was probably in my early 20s, that's when I thought, oh, this is the thing. And so I've had them my entire life. I think there's nothing better.
Yeah, no, I know people love them. I couldn't get on board. But
how about the Eroscillator's good? Because the Eroscillator is it functions on a different vibration, and it's so it goes in a different direction. So it's not like that. It's like this, and it's the Dr. Ruth vibrator. Dr. Ruth really loves that vibrator, and it's weird. It's like copper or purple. And it's got weird, like a spoon end and like a raspberry end, and they're very interesting. So I have one of those too.
If you've ever seen Rick and Morty, I'm picturing like a plumbus right now.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, but I'm always very jealous of the people whose first orgasms were manual.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like I almost didn't know what it was, and I was scared. Because it was so shocking.
Yeah.
But then later, like you go, oh, okay. You sort of figure it out. And then that's the goal. But certainly it's something that like I've noticed that I can't really, I don't know, nowadays I have to like really focus on trying to come in different ways, because I get so set in that, like whatever it is, in the easiest way.
Yeah, and you don't want to
try to
plateau.
do different things.
Yeah,
so I like there was a sex toy that never really made it to market, because I used to be a sex toy sort of tester at Good Vibrations, and I would get different ones, and one that
a scientist
one that I really liked was like almost like a TENS unit, where it was like a sort of a muscular, it worked on like a muscular twitch, and then you like put it inside your like either your knees or your thighs, and then I imagine it stimulated the sciatic nerve in order to induce orgasm, and I thought that was really good.
Interesting.
But it was all way too weird.
Well, how old were you when you did that?
35.
Oh, cool. So like way into stand up.
Yeah, I was on the board of Good Vibrations. So we would like kind of look to, what are we going to do about these sex toys? Are these going to, and this was kind of also like, I remember getting one of the first issues of what they called the Womanizer, which I don't like the name.
Yeah. I hate the name.
I think it's a good toy.
Oh, clitoral suction. So the Womanizer is the one that did it for me. And now we hawk a lot of other suckers because they're way cheaper.
It's a really good toy. And it's also because it's got the sort of a blowing thing. And then like it can be really soft, but it can be really hard too. So I think that's a great innovation.
Yeah, all I've ever wanted was a tiny blowjob, and they fulfilled.
It's really good.
It's really good. Yeah. But so yeah, you've very much seen like the progression of sex toys.
Yes.
Yeah. And they've gotten so much better, and they've gotten a lot more vulva based. Like initially it was all like men creating the toys. And I think why like a lot of us had that rabbit was because it was the only thing that was available. And you saw it on Sex and the City, and then like everybody bought it and realized they hated it. And now there's like female vulva owned companies that are like doing
really, really great stuff.
And there's so much diversity. But what I think is really important too is vaginal exercise. And it can be as simple as doing Kegels. And of course, there's one toy that I really like that's not a toy exactly, but it's a called the Kegel Bell. And it's a weighted, it's a system of weights that you can hang out. And I have a Kegel sizer too, which is like kind of a barbell.
I'm Kegling. Is everybody else Kegling right now?
But you don't even need to do you don't need any of that fancy stuff. But I have like gone to the point where I need weights to even more because I want more. And that's really improved my sexual response, my sex life. And I think it feels really much different and better.
When did you start using them?
I had been using them probably since 2000, but the Kegel Bell is the Kegel sizer I've been using since like 2000. I got it at when Babes in Toyland opened in New York City.
Okay. Babeland?
Babeland. Babes in Toyland. That's the band.
You know, no, it's the musical.
Movie.
Yeah.
It's the movie. Babeland was very, I think because I worked in sex toy stores in San Francisco. So I was familiar with that industry. And so then the Kegel sizer, I came into own that in the 2000s. So I started doing them in the 2000s and, off and on. But now I'm much more focused and serious about it, especially this year since I have time.
Yeah, so much time. That's literally all I've been saying. I'm like, just stay home and learn how to masturbate in so many different ways and do Kegels.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's so good. So we're talking about how you consistently seem to be entering these severely heteronormative and conservative spaces, like Dancing with the Stars or The Bachelor, or, and Robin and I were just discussing, like, how do you decide to make those decisions and go into those spaces and, like, how do you weigh out whether it'll be, like, worth it for the cause or detrimental to your mental health?
I think it's fun. I think Dancing with the Stars is, I think what it is when these shows and these arenas want to invite danger, then they'll bring me in because I'm kind of safe danger because I'm like a comedian. So I can soften all of the blows of whatever's happening. I remember in Dancing with the Stars, this was like 2011, and it was really a different thing to have a gay partner with a bisexual dancer, like, to have that
wearing
space,
a pride flag,
pride flag, like that was unique. Now it seems like it's not as much. So I think that was really good. And then for The Bachelor, the interesting thing about that was the first iteration of it was to introduce them to BDSM. And to start talking about power dynamics in sex. And then it changed.
And that didn't air.
No.
They weren't ready for that yet.
Thought of it, and then it changed into something else. But it was really that was super weird to me. That was like, why would anybody? I understand why people watch it, but I don't know why anybody would want to do it because
participate.
To me, it's a very stressful thing. It's like you're trying to connect with somebody, but you're competing with all these other people. And then the person,
it's horrible.
I think it's really, I think it's a really weird social experiment. And
it's also interesting because they're like all Christian, but then like,
it's very like, I don't know what it's like a harem or something, or, this very strange attitude towards sex and dating. And I don't know, like, I think it's very weird.
Yeah, no, and I don't know, like, because I weigh out sometimes whether I'm going to go on to more conservative shows or podcasts or whatever, and like, I'm like, is it going to be worth it for like the trolls online to start tweeting at me? Is it going to be, and Dancing with the Stars is so much larger scale. The Bachelor is so much larger scale. Like, you really have to go in with a spine and like a message.
Yeah, I think that's true. But it's also good for them to welcome in this aspect of the other and the danger. And that I think is worth it. I think it's always worth it. It's always worth it to have a platform, whatever that platform is, to put your message out there. And as long as it's what you really feel, now they're not changing what you're doing. I think that's really important. So I think it's great to go into those spaces, and I've had super weird fights on Fox News with like Jerry Falwell. I mean, it's like so strange. But I think it's always worth it.
Yeah. And it's definitely worth it. I'm thinking in respect to The Bachelor, like The Bachelor has so many gay girls on it that don't know that they're bi or don't know that they're gay. And like, just to expose people to like this is a nice, normal person that you're meeting that you like or that you're seeing on TV, and the representation is just like, oh, if that's what a gay person can look like then I could be like Demi Burnett was like, you don't watch The Bachelor, but she's like one of the most, I would assume, straight girls in the world. And she recently did my friend's podcast talking about how like Ruby Rose slid into her DMs. And I'm like, this would never have been a Bachelor contestant like 10 years ago.
I love it. I think that's great.
I love it.
I think it's great. I think it's really, I mean, whatever it is, it's important to be seen. And so I think that's really what it's all about.
Yeah. And then you were talking about BDSM. They wanted you to talk about that. I watched a clip. I don't remember what it was, a Sirius XM show that you did where you were talking about you have relationships with mistresses that are pain-based but not sexual.
Yeah.
And we've kind of discussed how you remove sexuality from it, but I've been discussing pain-based relationships a lot, and I'm just wondering, like, how did you get into them and what do you get out of them?
I've always really enjoyed the idea of power dynamics. And coming from a space of like Korean culture is so patriarchal and so much about like the shame of sex. Yeah. And so when you can eroticize shame, it's really something, and shame and punishment. And it's really kind of a powerful switch.
Yeah, flipping it on its head.
I think it's really triggering for me. And it's also something that I just love the aesthetics of it. I love the political power of it. I love like Folsom, Street Fair. I hosted last year's Dungeons I love.
Leather.
I love leather. But nowadays I saw like a lot of the TikTok generation of BDSMers now it's all like cruelty-free, plant-based cruelty. Like, they're using cacti and succulents as like toys, which I was like, oh my God, that is so amazing. Like,
I saw that too.
It's really incredible.
Yeah, I love Kink Talk. It is a very interesting space.
It's so good.
Yeah. So do you have one mistress or multiple?
I have had over time many of them. The one that I was really seeing got COVID.
No.
And so she's still
oh,
and so it's like kind of like this horrible, but anyway, it's fine. It's like, right now it's not really possible. But the last time I went to a dungeon was probably March of last year. It was an actual dungeon. And it was really, I don't know, there was something about it that I was a little removed from. I think I like it better at home now.
Okay.
I think that there's something that's so, now I look at dungeon spaces as being so curated and kind of it's kind of 90s, which is good.
It's like Disneyland for sex.
Yeah, which is it's like there's a lot of like the couch that's a shoe.
Yeah.
It's really
and
like
then there's like the squishy furry room.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of leopard print, which I think is okay, but it's like this funny feeling of I don't know, there's something that's a little bit somewhat removed for me about it, that I can't sexualize it in a way that I did. I love the gay male dirty spaces like the Tom of Finland house. I never been in the dungeon, but they let me open the door and smell it. And it was just urine and semen. And I was like, that is amazing. So I think
take a whiff.
That's what it should smell like. It's much more... I think it's much more appealing.
Yeah, it's hard to get past that though now with COVID. Like I never was a germy person, and now I'm like that. I can't.
But maybe that'll ignite another era of a kink that is real. Because I think the first plague, which is AIDS, really brought a maturity to leather sex because we couldn't fluid bond. So we were looking to have sex in different ways, intimacy in different ways that felt just as primal. So BDSM really flourished under those restrictions of that first pandemic.
Yeah.
So maybe there'll be another emergence of a kind of kink. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Around COVID. So I'm dating a guy, and we were like making out, but with like full gas masks on. It was so fun.
I was just going to say, like, those pandemic masks from, like, the early 1900s with, like, the beaks.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're so creepy, but also, like, a bit hot.
They're super hot. The plague doctor.
The plague
doctor. I love
doctor.
those. With that big cape. So there's something about, I do love, like, a helmet. I have one of those full, like, bubble, see-through, like, head things that filter air and it doesn't fog. And
Sick.
So those are kind of fun. So I think maybe there will be
sex.
something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm obsessed with that. Have you been to any virtual sex parties?
Only Folsom, only that I haven't yet.
Okay.
I do, because I have somebody, like I have my Valentine quarantine. So I see him, and that's really satisfying for me and good. But yeah, I haven't done, but virtual I think is good. Anything is good. That's all. The potential is endless. I think it's great.
Yeah. Necessity is the mother of invention. And a lot of great stuff has come out of this. There's like teledildonics, like people can like operate dildos via other computers.
Oh, that's great. I think that's great. I mean, I think that, also VR would be very helpful.
Yes. I want to get my friend an Oculus so bad so he can have a dick.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've had this conversation a lot on this podcast too, and I'm very excited to have it with you because you've talked about how comedians have a lot of power, and you've said words have an extreme amount of power, and in regard to talking about jokes about serious issues, who can make them? We did a whole episode called Jokes by Survivors, where my friends talk about their show Rape Jokes by Survivors and how important it is to talk about sexual assault, like when you've actually gone through it. But the people who have not, should they be speaking about these issues in a joking manner?
I think it depends.
Okay.
I think it's really, it's all context. And I don't know. Also, like, I really, I guess I can't, I don't like it when a rape joke is made lightly by a cis male comedian, where it's really minimized. When rape and the culture of rape is minimized, that's disgusting to me. Yeah. That's the only time where I would say I would rather no platform that. Like, I'd rather just not hear that at all. But, I'm open to different voices around the conversation. Especially if it's like male rape, or it's something that it's like when a man's talking about what it is or consent means. I think all the conversations around it are valid, except one that minimizes the enormity. Yeah.
How far does it extend? Like, if you haven't experienced racism, should you be talking about racism?
Yeah, because you've experienced racism and that you've seen it. And that you've seen it in front of you, and how do I process that? I think racism is important because we're all a race.
Yeah.
Everybody is, whether that it's from a culture of whiteness, whether it's viewing whiteness, whether it's talking about blackness, but we all have to have a perspective on it because we're all facing it. My Asianness, my otherness, whatever that otherness takes its form as, I think is a valid thing. You know, it's really all context and nuance and how people talk about it and how they relate to it.
I just there's been a lot of discussion about, like, I don't know if we even want to talk about this, but are you comfortable talking about Armie Hammer?
Oh yeah. I don't know much about it. Like, okay. I don't really understand. I don't. Okay. I was like really confused that he's not twins. First of all. And then
I'm really relieved that he's not twins now.
I'm like, who? I really don't know. Like, I can't separate people from their movie characters because I know very little about actors themselves.
Right.
No. And I get him confused with Timothy Chalamet. I'm like,
right.
Which one? Which one's in the sand with Zendaya? I think that's the other one. That's Timothy Chalamet.
That's Chalamet.
Yeah, that's Dune. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I really become like old. I'm like real mom, like old mom about that. I'm like, oh, who is that, honey?
Yeah. Well, this is a person I have. Okay. Long and the short of it is Armie Hammer's texts have been released with several subs that he was with or is currently with, and they go beyond a normal BDSM relationship. He talks about wanting to eat them, wanting to break their bones, wanting to have them. I can't even like say the specific stuff, but because it makes me sick. And it seems in these that safe words were not listened to. Actual rape was committed, and not in the sense of like it's a consensual fantasy. And the conversation on the internet right now is half he is a monster, he needs to go to jail, and then some kink people coming out saying this is kink shaming and stuff. And I just kind of wanted to be clear because you have a BDSM background, you participate in pain relationships with how important safe words are and how important respecting limits is.
Oh God, it's so important. I mean, it's the very it's like if we had a constitution, that's what it is. Constitution. It is like all consent. Safe words are really important, and safe words don't have to be obvious. Like, you can negotiate into saying no, or you can negotiate into saying we have no safe words. But you can't really negotiate that. Like, there has to be a way to stop it. There has to be a way to. There's something like that is hot about the idea of non-consensual sex, just as an idea.
And that is a fantasy, and I don't want to take that away from the people who do participate in it safely.
Yeah. So, but when it goes beyond that, and when people are really complaining and upset and traumatized by it, then it's not consensual. Then it's not. Yeah. I mean, the cannibalism thing. Well, whatever. I don't really have an opinion about that.
I know.
I went to this Chinatown market and I got a bag of chicken, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna be really a chef, and I'm gonna go to this like hardcore place. You know, if I'm going to eat meat, I'm going to really eat it. And then I got a chicken head, and then 2 came out of the bag. Yeah. And I freaked out. And I put on gloves, and I put them in another bag, and then in another bag, and then took them outside and put them in the garbage. But I was like, you know, I have to be so removed from the reality of what meat is and all of that. So cannibalism is not, but it's
not on the menu for me. I had the same experience a similar one. I didn't go to a market, but my friend was cooking a whole chicken in a pot, like to make a soup. And I looked in it and I was like, that is a baby's body. And I couldn't eat meat for like 3 years. So that like just like the idea of it, like,
it's so
again,
hard.
if there's cannibalism play or something where you're doing it safely, like you have to talk to people who have done it safely first. You can't just like enter into this shit lightly.
Yeah, it's freaky, but I mean, it's like we also love the culture of vampire. Like I do love vampire movies, and I like vampires, so that's a kind of cannibalism too. So there's like a limit. I mean, it's like, to me, it's just like gross and creepy, but it's also just talk too. But did it go beyond talk where it's like he's traumatizing these people by having to listen to it? I don't know.
Like asked for one of them to like cut off her toe so that he could like have it and eat it. And yeah, it's like really gross. It's really bad. And like,
so weird.
No, you're going to vomit when you read, like, it's so bad. Like literally, you guys, massive trigger warning. I know that like I'm even laughing about it, but like it's like, so bad.
I always want to justify. I want to give people the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, maybe he's paleo. Maybe he's just real keto. You know, you got to be thin to be in the movies. So maybe he's just really trying to get that BMI low as he can. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so weird. No.
Yeah, and it's
it
sucks too because there are these like fantasies that like we even had a TikToker who like he does a lot of these like he'll be covered in blood but then like doing like sexy looks at you, and like it kind of has been normalized to like a murderer or like someone who's that intense.
Oh yeah.
People thought Ted Bundy was hot even after his doc came out. So like we're fucked up. But I just want to shine a light on like he needs to go to jail.
It's so gross. Well, I think that people love the fantasy of annihilation.
Yeah.
So somebody that has like, and that's another sort of power thing too, and eroticizing what is like evil.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because sex is so demonized.
Yeah.
So then we can go into that dark place of like, let's get the most demonic lover. Whether that is, you know, a cannibal or Armie Hammer. I think Armie Hammer also, he looks so kind of clean cut, like sort of American Psycho. So that was what makes him.
That's why he's going to get away with it.
Yeah. But also that's why he doesn't get away with it too, because he's so American Psycho looking. Like it's like guys like that.
We've seen that before. Like you are Christian Bale.
It's an archetype too. But I'm also confused because guys like that, all famous guys want to get peed on. So I'm like confused. I've never seen like a famous top. That's weird to me. Like, really? Because every guy that I've been with who is well known wants to get peed on.
That is a quote to live by, Robin. Write that down. I've never met a famous top. Happy to be a bottom. Hi.
Yeah. Anybody who's in the public eye is a bottom, and I really believe that. I think that he's like cosplaying top. Maybe he's a serious bottom. Maybe he's saying these things because he wants it done to him. That could be the other switch too.
Maybe. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not an FBI person, but these women are sending these texts to the FBI. So that's good. And I hope something happens.
It's really interesting. It's like, whoa, what a weird twist on a scandal, or like, I'm like, wow, you know, and why would you, I think it, you know, women are, more than one person is doing it. There's like a group mentality of like, we need to do something about this. This is dangerous.
It's time. So this year has been such a good vacuum for people to like talk about any sort of issue because people are at home and listening. Like the George Floyd protests, I don't think would have gotten as big or as important. Like people are just sitting at home, whether they're waiting for Ilaria gossip or like actual like murderous shit that's happening, like they're listening.
It's important.
Yeah.
And I think but it's also, you know, like at least we're addressing these issues that we haven't for centuries. So that's really good.
Yeah. No, and I think also people are like at home with their thoughts, being like, and learning about other stuff and just being like, oh, that was a real valid trauma. Okay, I guess I'm allowed to talk about this now.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's good.
which is awesome. I just wanted to jump back to the mistresses and the pain play for a second, because you also discussed using vagina clamps and again said not sexual.
Yeah.
This is just a pain thing.
Curious and pain thing, and like, this is interesting. And so there's different kinds of ones. I mean, it's just interesting to me.
They hold the lips open?
Yeah. But then there's kind of like, it's almost like a dream catcher.
Okay.
But then instead of the dream, you catch a vagina. It's a really interesting, because it's like basically a hoop. It's like needlepoint. But it's like where you pull open the hoop, but you're pulling open your vagina.
Yeah. And it just keeps it out in the breeze.
Keeps it out, but it makes it like really like
I'm picturing like this thing in Stranger Things, like
yeah.
Like just
it's really like
stretch.
It's really Stranger Things. It's really stretch. It's just interesting. I'm like, oh, this is super interesting. Like I like a pussy pump, which is like it's almost like a scuba mask or whatever, but you put it on your vagina and then it pumps it out. But it's just like a little, it's like a blood pressure cuff, but it's like a cuff.
Okay.
So that
on the clit or on the
both?
Both.
Okay. It can sort of put, because one time I saw this guy who used it was like from a veterinarian's office, and it was a pump, and he had fashioned this like plastic bulb that would go around his cock and balls, and he would slowly pump up his penis and balls to the size of, it was a basketball. It was a large, like a beach ball. So it was like this big.
The skin would get that big?
Yeah. Everything. Because he would do it over several hours.
Okay.
So it was a suction pump that just pump up. And then he would get so incredibly turned on from it. But it wasn't an erection because it was like a marshmallow. And it was the strangest thing I've ever seen. And it was at a sex club in the 2000s, early 2000s, like 2002.
And does it go back to normal after that?
It takes about a day to go back to normal.
Wow.
But he was so he was really transformed. It was like a hallucinogenic drug for him.
Wow.
And
you guys, you never know what does it for you.
He was so interesting because he also had a Chinese junk, which is an antique Chinese ship.
What?
And he was trying to sell for a few $1 million. And he was an attorney, and very successful, but attractive. But he was in his 70s.
Mm-hmm.
But he looked like Salvador Dali, so he would wear this like drawn on mustache that was like in curls, and then this like white hair that was like black from here to here. It was so weird. And
this is the guy that blew up his dick?
Yeah.
That's insane.
So
he just keeps getting more and more
so
insane.
Weird. And
I love him.
But he was cool.
Yeah.
And he had a girlfriend, but they didn't have sex, but she was just always kind of like in this sex room, just sort of like looking at him in the corner. If it was now, she would be on her phone, but we didn't have phones then.
Yeah.
But they looked like Rick Owens and Michelle Lamy. They looked like they were like an old goth couple. They were very Addams Family. That's Salvador Dali too, but
yeah.
So that was a very strange.
I imagine that's how the Addams Family gets down too. They just like have all these devices that nobody's ever heard of.
They're so loving. That's the thing. I love the Addams Family because they're so in love.
They're so in love, and then they murder each other.
Beautiful.
But nobody can die.
And nobody can eat each other. There's no like cannibalism.
Yeah. I could see Pubert eating some people.
Maybe.
But I don't know. So has there ever been a time that you've been participating in BDSM that somebody has not listened to a safe word?
No.
Good.
No. Good. Because the only times, I've had rape happen, yeah, for sure, but not in a BDSM context, because everything is so negotiated. Only in like heteronormative dating situations have I had that, and that's really upsetting.
Right.
It's really disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
But in BDSM spaces, it's like I've never had that. Although I've heard of it happening. Of course, you know, you see things and you hear about things, and you know, you're like, but I couldn't imagine it because everybody is so negotiated down.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody that I've ever played with are so negotiated down.
And that's like the scariest thing is like, and why I want to differentiate BDSM from these Army Hammer texts is BDSM, those people are like the nicest, kindest people where there's so much communication. And then we're taught that like, those are the unsafe spaces where it really is heteronormative relationships or people that you know that are going to be the most unsafe people.
Yeah. I think also what's harmful is like when people are shaming, whether subtly or nuanced, the way that you have an orgasm. Whether like there's a lot of vibrator shaming amongst men that I know, is they're just like super uncomfortable with the idea of like introducing like toys, which I think is really weird.
Stupid ego thing.
It's so weird.
It's so bad. Not any of our How Come boys. They all love toys, and we're very proud of them, and we love them.
I love them. I want to think of like good male toys. I have a couple.
I know.
I've never really.
No, we have to do an episode on it because they've been requesting it, and I know that there are some great ones out there.
I have an Aneros, which is like the I have a whole bunch of like butt plugs that are, but I don't have any like vibrating ones because I feel like they don't really, they don't stay in the collection.
Yeah, there's more demand now. So I think just more toys are going to come out and more boys or people with penises are getting more comfortable with saying, I would like a toy too. Like it's not, toys don't make you deficient. They make you laden with accessories.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just another fun thing, whether it's it's just another fun thing to play with. And sex can be very it can be so, you can really expand your palate sexually, and really it's like spices in a as a chef, you want all of the herbs and spices, you want to put everything in, and it's really, but there's too much, too spicy and too bland, you want to have all sorts of options. Yeah,
sometimes you want to eat the same thing for 3 days in a row. Some days you need a little something different.
Exactly.
When I was picturing the vagina clamps, all my mind went to is she must be incredibly body positive to be able to be so out in the open like that. And I was wondering, have you always felt great about your body?
No.
Okay.
No. But also it's like, I realize how detrimental not feeling good about my body has been to my mental health over my lifetime. And so I'm 52 now. I only have at best probably about 50 years. Like I'm about halfway through
left.
So about that. So I want it to be good. And I want to enjoy that part, because so much of my time has been spent hating my body and really angry at everything, every aspect of it. So now I'm trying to go the opposite way and be positive. So whatever that is. And fortunately, I have a lot of people around me who are really admirers and really loving that way. But I also have to lead the charge of that. And be my own fan and like how I look and enjoy things. So everything is really about celebrating that.
Yeah. And it starts with whenever like looking in the mirror, if you do have a moment of being like, oh, I don't like this aspect, how do you combat that?
Well, I either invest in some kind of thing that maybe can help that, like whatever that is. It's like I am the queen of electro stim, like LED light mask shit, that kind of stuff. So I have a new face, zip, and a dese. So it's like one of those like Iron Man, whatever. So, and it to me, it's really just fun, that is not looked at as like, I want to combat aging. It's like, I want to celebrate being this age and have fun. So they're, in a sense, they're kind of like another aspect of self-love as opposed to self-punishment.
Yeah. There is something about allowing yourself to do maintenance that is really nice. Like, I used to feel extreme guilt whenever I would put on moisturizer, and I would be like, ugh, this is me trying to combat aging. This is me trying to combat wrinkles. And now I try to look at it as like, no, this is me taking care of myself.
Yeah.
This is me acknowledging that my skin, like, it needs moisture.
And it feels good.
And that, like, I deserve to be doing this. Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like, you know, it's like, this feels good to myself to preserve and feel like good in my skin, so I'm going to preserve the elasticity of it. I'm going to feel good. You know, I'm going to smell good. I love fragrance, and I have a refrigerator for fragrance and skincare.
Really? That's amazing.
But it's never and like those like jade rollers.
Yep.
But it's never in a way of like I'm going to. It's like I'm going to address the problems. It's just I'm going to celebrate who
I'm going to take care of myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a nice thing to do. No, and there was something I noticed on your Instagram. You have a friend, Ronald McDonkey.
Oh, he's great. Yeah. He's
photoshops your head on other bodies.
I love him. He's so funny. He just sent me a huge poster that I have to have framed. It's of Bill Murray as Tina Turner in Thunderdome. And it's so funny. He's so good.
Do those ever play into your body positivity?
Oh yeah. And to me, it's really a celebratory thing because it's always really happy. So I always have a really good time with that. He's the best.
Yeah, I just had the other day, my sister sent me a picture of her body with my face on it or whatever. And she's like, isn't this weird? And I was looking at it and I was like, this really oddly makes me value my body more, which sounds so bizarre because Charlotte has the most gorgeous body. I'm always so jealous of her body. But then when I saw my head on her body, I was like, oh, my body's made for me. I look so much better with my own body. And I was just wondering if you ever had those same feelings with those, because it just happened this week and I was like, oh, she gets her head put on other bodies too.
It's just funny. It's just funny to me. Like I love, I have that Reface app. And to me, it's really funny. My favorite is Child. Putting my face on a child.
As a child?
That's the most amazing.
Oh my God, this has been so fun. Rob, do we have any other questions that I might have missed?
No, I don't think so. I honestly think you got everything.
I did it? Oh my God.
I think you did. All in one swoop.
Yay.
Okay, let me just run through again because I'm crazy. And if I forget something, I'll hate us.
I have to go read those Army Hammer things now.
Dude, please brace yourself though, because they're really rough. Like I thought I could handle them, and I have a safe word now with my boyfriend for when I'm thinking about it.
Oh God.
Like I'll
That's
just be
so weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird that it would be like, I don't know. The cannibalism is such a weird fetish to me. It's like that guy that was in Germany that invited that other guy. He found that cannibal guy, or he found a guy who wanted to be eaten.
Oh.
And he ate him. He put him in the bath that isn't.
I don't remember that one.
But it was in Germany. And he found a guy and so it was a big court case because it's like, is this consensual? And they videotaped the whole thing because it was like, the guy was like going to get eaten. He's like, this is consensual. I want this. And so it was very intense. But the whole time when they would have a little downtime in between, they would read Star Trek novels.
What?
Which first I didn't realize they were novels.
Yeah.
And then I think they would also watch like Star Trek, like part of the movies or some of the TV shows or whatever. And I was like, that's kind of sweet. But it's very like
while cutting his body parts off?
I think that it was very slow, and
that doesn't make it better.
It doesn't make it better, but it was like the whole time there was like moments of like we're consenting to this, and it's such a weird one, and it was in like the forest in Germany, maybe like Bavaria, where it's very Hansel and Gretel. So it was like this,
in
like,
Berlin.
oh, okay. So it's very like,
pretty sure.
to me, it's that fantasy of like, maybe it's like a Grimm's fairy tale
Yeah.
thing that was imprinted that he couldn't stop thinking about or something. You know, it's like we never know what people.
Even that
want.
sounds more consensual than these.
Yeah.
Like that sounds light years beyond these texts.
Yeah.
His are like, they're just scary. But okay,
Yeah.
I found the thing that I would have been mad at us if I didn't ask.
Okay.
You have been a very big proponent for sex workers. Sex work is a huge conversation right now. I wrote a paper in 6th grade about why sex work should be legal.
Yeah.
You have said that you worked as a sex worker. Can I ask in what capacity?
Yeah. I was a phone sex operator.
Cool.
As a teenager, and I tried to be a dominatrix. I'm not a good top.
No
There's
famous people are.
No, I'm a terrible top because I'm very passive in a lot of ways. And so it's very hard for me to, when you're a good dominatrix, you're really a combination psychic, teacher, mother, psychotherapist, shaman. Like, it's like, there's so many things. You're witch, you're like all sorts of things. Shapeshifter.
Decision maker.
Really decision maker, decisive, fast, improvisationalist.
Yeah. I quit improv, did stand up, cannot dom.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much. So I'm like, kind of like, oh, I don't really know. Because so many people have tried to make me into a good top, and they've given me scripts, and I'm so, and I get befuddled.
But
I'm
phone
too
sex
passive.
operating is mostly sub work.
It's definitely top.
Oh, okay.
But it's definitely like there's something about it that I was able to do, and I did it for a couple of years. But to me, sex work is important because the bottom line is our bodies are our own, and to criminalize sex work is to somehow take ownership, having the state take ownership of a body, which is not that at the bottom level, it's so wrong.
Yeah, it's so wrong.
Sex work is really, it's work. And it's an important part of our society, which is going to operate whether we like it or not. So and it's mostly women, and it's mostly, it's like trying to say that the state somehow owns women's bodies is not, it's not good.
Yeah. And meanwhile, people are okay with the military. They're okay with people injuring themselves forever playing football games. But if you want to be a cam girl, or if you want to be a phone sex operator, if you want to have an OnlyFans where you're just using your body, that's not okay. It's like, it's a totally patriarchal, sexist mentality because the demand hasn't been there for male sex work as much because women and gay people don't have as much money to spend on it. But that also is, that tide is turning because people are making more money. And I do have more male friends with OnlyFans, and like, it's amazing.
It's good. It's good. I can't have an OnlyFans because I'm too shaky when I hold the camera, so I can't.
You gotta get a tripod.
Woo, I don't have a selfie stick. But it's kind of like, but there's the slut shaming around stuff like that is so disgusting. It's like we own our bodies and we can do what we want with them. And it's important to acknowledge that. That's why sex work should be legal at the very basic elements of what it is.
And then we protect the people doing the work. We protect the people who are paying for the work. And you make money from taxes. Everybody wins. Right.
Everybody wins. But it's also like we can also, because they sort of think that somehow criminalizing sex work will protect.
No.
But it doesn't.
It doesn't.
It makes it worse.
Yeah.
It makes it harder.
Yeah. No, in my little essay, I had the line, women wouldn't be at the mercy of their pimps.
Right. Exactly.
6th grade.
So smart.
But yeah, I know you have to go. So Margaret Cho, this has been so amazing having you here.
I do have to ask this one question. I have to ask all of our guests and anyone I've had a sexual experience with. Did you finish?
I did.
Okay, amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Can you tell everybody where they can find you on the internet?
I can be found at Margaret_Cho on Instagram, at Margaret Cho on Twitter, at Margaret Cho everywhere, margaretcho.com.
And you have an upcoming sex show on the 14th, right? February 14th.
What month is it? February 14th. February 14th on Valentine's Day, I have a show called Sex with Margaret on streaming. So come and see me.
Unreal. Amazing. Thank you again. And we love you.
I love you. Thank you. Lucia wants me to go.
Yeah.
She's like, it's time.
Okay,
it's time.
Lucia, you can have your mom back. Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye. You guys, thank you so much for listening. Follow us at How Come Podcast. Rate, review, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time on How Come. Goodbye.
Bye.
It's not you, it's me. I try so hard to finish honestly. They say you'll know when you go all the way from A right down to O. Oh no, I think that I still got a ways to go. Oh, I'm sick of this and I have got to know. How come? How come? How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help. 'Cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna jizz